Morning and welcome to Jobmaster's Diary. I should say, first of all, somebody spoke to me the other week and they said you're losing your Scouse accent on those videos. Well, it's my attempt to sound more like David Attenborough than Paul O'Grady, but it seems the Scouse accent's admired by some. So this episode is for the person who remarked about the Scouse accent. Okay, there's one thing I won't be saying if the horses don't behave themselves, and that's calm down, because I don't think Scousers say that. So here we go. What this video is about, or this series of videos now, is about training a young horse from scratch for harness. Got two horses here. They're both 3 years old, Shires. Edward here and Benji, the one I'm holding. And I had these as foals. Stop it. That's the best time to have them. If you breed them, that's fine. If you buy them, you're better buying them when nobody else has handled them. I say handle them. You're training a horse from the day it's born, or from the day you buy them. And if you're buying foals, you want a foal that's been well handled, and these two were well handled. Makes life much easier if you've got something that's been handled. I did wonder who I'd be aiming for when I decided to do these videos, because it's not aimed as a total novice. I listen to people say they'll buy a young horse and they'll both learn together. Well, in my opinion, it doesn't work. If you're a total novice, don't buy a young horse. That's my opinion. We got quite a lot of people now coming into the heavy horse job. Primarily riding horse people. Now, a lot of riding horse people got a lot of knowledge about horses, and if you've got enough knowledge about handling a horse, breaking a horse for harness isn't rocket science. It's just doing it the right way and the correct way. So that's the idea, really, to show how it's done. Start normally, as I say, if you buy a horse, I prefer to buy them at 6 months old, as I say, and I had these two at 6 months old. And as soon as you get them, you train them. You're not bringing them home and throwing a set of harness on. What you've got to try and get on horse is you've got to gain this trust. It's patience, it takes time. There's what I call the big stick method, which is, and it was practiced, sometimes perhaps it still is. Knock hellos at them with a big stick and you get the result because they're frightened of you. My philosophy has always been, if you get break a horse like that, you've got a frightened horse. And a horse is a flight animal. When something frightens them, they'll run away. Now, my philosophy is they're more likely to listen to the man who has treated them kindly than to listen to the man who's hit him with a big stick. But that's my opinion. You get far more with a kind word than you'll ever get with a big stick. I think I've said that before. If you're doing this, you want plenty of time, you want plenty of patience. And all you're starting off with is getting them to stand still, getting them to walk, getting them to stop, get them to turn the ways you want them to turn. And that's the simplest way, and that's the best way at start. Once the horse is understanding you, it starts to get his trust in you, and that's what it's about, is getting the trust of the horse. They'll almost do anything for you. So literally, he's standing still now, and that's the most important thing you'll ever teach your horse to do. Any fool can make him go. If you can get him to stand still, it is important. If you've got a horse that won't stand still and you're halfway through putting him in a cart, and he moves off, well, you're looking for a mess. So literally, and I'll just sort of demonstrate this with this one. This is Edward, and he's standing still. So it doesn't matter what you say to commands, you say what you want. They're regional commands, and I use the same commands when I'm walking them along as I do if I'm driving them, and they get those words stuck in their head then. So I use G back to push them away, so G back, G back, G back, G back. And then walk on, and use the names, walk on Edward, walk on. Whoa for stopping him, and stand. That's the last command you'll ever give him, and he should stand. Now don't expect him to stand for 20 minutes the first time you do this. Get him to understand that word, so a few seconds, he's ready to move on. So walk on, walk on, walk on. And then come here, come here, come here, come here, come here, come here. Oh. Stand. Good lad. Stand. lad. Okay, walk on, Edward. Walk on. Stand. Lad. There you go. It all looks very simple, and it is. But it's the basis. It's getting him to understand you, getting him to trust you. Same with the other one, you know, as I say, they're slightly different temperament, these horses, and you will get that. What I should say is that these horses, I've brought them in for the first time today and I'm doing this. We've done part of the work that's involved in breaking them, and traditionally the farm horse, the cart horse, was broken when he was 2.5 years of age. And really that's the time you want to have him being able to wear a set of harness. You don't want to give him 3 tons to pull up a hill when he's 3 years of age. And 2.5 really, it's actually a little bit young. But they didn't have time in the working horse days to spend leaving them in fields till he was 3, 4. You don't really want to give them the heaviest work till they're about 4 years of age. But traditionally, you know, these horses are put to work when they were 2.5. Ploughing, which is actually quite a heavy job. I should say, I haven't started just from scratch here. We have done quite a bit with this. We haven't had them in the vehicles. We've had a little bit of harness on them. So it's not completely from scratch. We haven't finished the job, so the end of the video will be when we finish the job off. Very first thing, have you done all the training, the standing, the walking, get them to used to your voice, is to put a bridle and a bit in the mouth. Now everything you're doing with this job is alien to the horse. Horses graze in fields, they don't have leather work put on them, they don't have metal bits put in the mouth. So you've got to train to do that, you've got to have them to accept. The more they trust you, the more they'll let you do that. So the bridle, generally start with an open bridle. I use open bridles all the time. Traditionally, they used, most horses that pull anything, in working horse days and today, wear blinkers. I'll explain why I don't use blinkers. In fact, I think in previous videos I've said why I use open bridles. There's no right, wrong. Use exactly what suits you. I prefer these things. So all you've got in there is a straight bar, technically a muller mouth snaffle, egg butt snaffle. That's a mouthful, so it's a straight bar. And all you really want to put in a horse's mouth is that. All you want something to put a little bit of pressure on either side of his mouth. You'll see all sorts of things controlling a horse. You shouldn't want much more than that really. Certainly want to start off with that. And that goes in his mouth. Now it's not resting on his teeth. All horsey people know horse's mouth. The last tooth in the front is there, the first one in the back is there. So that's resting on his gums. As long as it's put in properly, it's not cruel. There's nothing cruel about putting a bit in horse's mouth. Usually leave a head collar or a halter underneath, because if you want to tie him up, you never want to tie him up on a bridle. And I always train the horses if I can, put the head down to do the job. Because if you're 5'2" and the horse is 19 hands, it's hard work stretching up. So head down, again, head down, head down, head down, that's it. And then just open up, good lad. That's gone in his mouth there. You shouldn't have heard me bashing on his teeth. If I did bash him on his teeth, we'll edit that out. Because the last thing you want to do is belt his teeth with that bit. It's a metal bit, it's going to hurt. You do that first time, he's not going to let you do it. He's not going to let you do it the second time. And then the size of the bit's important. You want just 1/4 of an inch either side. You don't want it tight against him. The good idea of these things, this egg butt, is it's not going to pinch him. And just a little bit of a pucker, a little bit of a smile on his face when you got the bit in. Just so you can feel it. You don't want it tight. If you got it tight all the time, it's pulling on that mouth all the time. So once you've got that in his mouth, he's not worried about that. Some people years ago, they used to have what they call a mouthing bit, which had keys on it, encourages the horse to salivate. I don't use them, but you know, it's something other people use. You want to leave that on. Don't leave it on him for hours when you first put it in. This has been on him before, and he has been used a little bit with it. So go back. But that's the first process. Just to get him used to that in his mouth and used to getting him taking it off. So to take it off, let's see, under the nose band and the throat lash. And again, if you can get him, put down, put him together, just put his head down. and then open it up, and then just drop it, open up, open up, open up, open up, at last. And he's happy with that. You know, we'll only covered a little bit in this video, we'll cover it in the next videos about literally mouthing a horse. They talk about mouthing a horse. Well, mouthing a horse is getting the horse used to the bit in his mouth and the controls that you're going to give him. You just see, I'll have to lengthen this a little bit now for Benji there, because he's got a bigger head. So I'll just lengthen that one, just show you. Again, both slightly different, these horses, so but you want to be able to do this with all the horses. Okay, come here. Again, head down, good lad, head down, head down, good lad. Oh, no. That's it. And then over his ears. You know, if you're doing this job, you'll know exactly how to put a bridle on, but just make sure you don't upset him to start with. Because as I say, if you keep knocking hell out of that horse's teeth, he's playing with it a little bit more than Edward was. Well, that's okay. Come here. And then again, noseband and throat lash, and that's that. There you go. And that's again adjusted similar to Edward's was, just a little bit. You don't want it tight, just a little bit of wrinkle in his in the corner of his mouth there. Okay, and then same again to take it off. Okay, put your head down. Get his head down. Makes life much easier. Okay, open up. And if you use the terms, if I'm saying open up, well, once he gets used to it, he'll open his mouth for you. Put it in and take it out. And the same with the head down. It isn't rocket science. If it was rocket science, I couldn't do it. Yeah, as I say, you've got to have a lot of patience. If you're telling them to stand and they don't stand, put them back, tell them to stand again. They move, put them back, tell them to stand again. And keep doing that until he gets fed up. If you start getting fed up and losing your patience, leave them, put them in the stable, go and get yourself a cup of tea. No use losing your patience with them. That's not to say that if you think they're messing you about, they don't need a sharp word to stop them. And if you raise your voice, your voice wants to be quiet most of the time, so that when you raise your voice, they know they're doing wrong. So, you know, it doesn't matter what you say, stop it, give up. I say stop it, tell him. You should know them when he's doing wrong. Okay, I think that's probably enough for the first video. Main things are you need to have patience and you need time. The training them is to do a little bit each day. It's no use doing something on a Monday morning and then leaving it till Saturday before you do anything else, because they've forgotten what you've done. Consistency. So, and lessons to start with don't want to be more than 10, 15 minutes long, and you can build up. You don't want them getting fed up. You want to keep them interested, and not to give them too much. It's like teaching anything. So that's the lot for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have, tell everybody. If you haven't, tell nobody. And watch out for the next one, because this is a continuing thing. And if you have any comments at all or questions, do get in touch. That's what we're here for, trying to pass a bit of knowledge on. Thanks very much for watching.